Solara, a world of unparalleled beauty, was often compared to a jeweled crown set against the inky backdrop of space. The planet's 3 moons bathed its azure skies in a soft, ethereal glow, casting long shadows over the crystalline cities below. It was a place where the air shimmered with the scent of exotic flowers, and the gentle hum of advanced technology blended seamlessly with the melodious songs of native birds. At the heart of this stunning world lay the gleaming citadel, a city renowned for its breathtaking architecture and vibrant culture. Towering spires of iridescent crystal pierced the sky, reflecting the sunlight in a kaleidoscope of colors. The city's inhabitants, the women of Solara, were as captivating as their surroundings. Known for their striking looks and formidable intellects, they exuded a confidence and poise that made them the envy of many across the galaxy. Yet, beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect world, a subtle discontent brewed. Solara's society, governed by strict social norms and expectations, left little room for spontaneity or genuine emotional connection. The women of Solara, though admired and respected, often found themselves longing for something more, something beyond the rigid structures of their daily lives. In a luxurious suite atop one of the citadel's tallest towers, 4 of Solara's most esteemed women gathered. The room was adorned with plush, silken furnishings and illuminated by the soft glow of floating orbs, casting a warm, golden light. The air buzzed with anticipation, for this was not just any meeting, it was a convergence of ambition, curiosity, and a thirst for adventure. Lyra, the group's undisputed leader, stood by the window, her silhouette framed against the stunning cityscape. Her sharp, emerald eyes glinted with a mischievous spark as she turned to face her companions. Lyra was known throughout Solara for her commanding presence and razor-sharp wit. With her fiery red hair cascading down her back and a confident smirk perpetually playing on her lips, she was a force to be reckoned with. Sarah, seated gracefully on a velvet chaise, was the epitome of empathy and kindness. Her soft, azure eyes radiated warmth, and her gentle demeanor made her beloved by all who knew her. She had a quiet strength, a compassionate heart that drew people in, yet she, too, felt the constraints of their society's expectations. Mira, sprawled casually on a plush cushion, was the group's free spirit. With her playful, flirtatious nature and an infectious laugh, she could charm anyone within minutes. Her long, flowing locks of silver hair and striking amethyst eyes added to her allure. Mira often sought thrills and new experiences, and the monotony of life in Solara left her yearning for excitement. Kara, the most reserved of the group, sat with an air of analytical detachment. Her sharp, inquisitive mind and passion for knowledge set her apart. With her sleek, black hair pulled back in a neat ponytail and piercing gray eyes that seemed to see through everything, Kara approached life with a logical precision that left little room for frivolity. Yet even she couldn't deny the stirrings of curiosity within her. As the 4 women settled into their seats, the air was charged with a sense of impending adventure. Lyra, ever the instigator, broke the silence. "Ladies, we've been too complacent for far too long," she began, her voice smooth and commanding. "Our lives, though privileged, have become stagnant. We follow the same routines, abide by the same rules, and frankly I'm bored." Mira chuckled, her eyes dancing with amusement. "Leave it to you, Lyra, to find boredom in perfection." Lyra's smirk widened. "Perfection, my dear Mira, is overrated. It's the imperfections, the unknowns, that make life interesting. And I've found just the thing to shake things up." The women leaned in, intrigued. Lyra's ideas were always bold, often controversial, but never dull. "Earth," Lyra declared, her eyes gleaming. "A planet teeming with diversity and unpredictability. A place where emotions run deep, and the men, well, they're unlike anything we've encountered here." Kara raised an eyebrow. "Earth? The human men there are known for their unpredictability and emotional complexity. It's not exactly a place one visits lightly." "Exactly," Lyra agreed, her excitement palpable, "which is why it presents the perfect challenge. I propose a little bet, something to test our charms and perhaps teach us something new." Sarah tilted her head, curiosity piqued. "A bet?" Lyra nodded. "We each choose a human male and see who can seduce him the fastest. It's a harmless game, a way for us to explore our own appeal and perhaps learn about these intriguing creatures called men." A hush fell over the room as the women considered the proposal. It was audacious, to say the least, but it also promised a break from the mundanity of their lives. The thrill of the unknown, the allure of adventure, it was irresistible. Mira grinned, her violet eyes twinkling. Count me in. I've always wanted to experience human culture firsthand, and this sounds like the perfect excuse. Sarah hesitated, her compassionate nature wrestling with the ethics of the idea. It feels a bit manipulative, doesn't it? Playing with people's emotions for our amusement. Lyra's expression softened. I understand your concerns, Sarah. But this is merely a game, a way for us to explore and understand. We're not out to harm anyone, we're seeking experiences and perhaps some self-discovery along the way. Kara, ever the pragmatist, spoke up. There are risks, of course. We must be careful not to underestimate the complexity of human emotions. But it does present an intriguing challenge. The room was silent for a moment as each woman weighed the proposition. It was a bold idea, fraught with potential complications, but the lure of adventure was undeniable. Lyra took a deep breath, her voice low and serious. This isn't just about winning a bet. It's about pushing our boundaries, stepping out of our comfort zones. We live in a world where everything is controlled and predictable. This is our chance to experience something real, something raw. The conviction in Lyra's words resonated with the others. They knew she was right. Their lives, though luxurious and privileged, lacked a certain vitality. The bet was a chance to break free, to feel something genuine, even if just for a moment. Sarah sighed, a small smile playing on her lips. All right, I'm in. But let's agree to be mindful of their feelings. We may be playing a game, but that doesn't mean we can't be kind. Mira clapped her hands, her excitement palpable. This is going to be so much fun. I can't wait to see what Earth has in store for us. Kara nodded thoughtfully. I'll join as well. There's much to learn from this experience, and I can't deny my curiosity. Lyra grinned, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. Then it settled. We'll depart for Earth tomorrow. Prepare yourselves, ladies, this is going to be an adventure like no other. The next day, the women gathered in a secret chamber deep within the citadel. The room was filled with advanced technology, the likes of which even the most brilliant minds on Earth could not fathom. Holographic maps of the galaxy hovered in midair, data streams flowed across translucent screens, and a sleek, silver spaceship awaited them, its surface glistening under the ambient light. Lyra approached the ship, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and nerves. It had been a long time since she felt such a rush. She glanced back at her companions, each of them lost in their own thoughts, and smiled. This was at the start of their grand adventure. Sarah, ever the empath, approached her with a soft expression. Are we really ready for this? We're venturing into the unknown after all. Lyra placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. That's the beauty of it, Sarah. The unknown is where the magic happens. Besides, we'll be together, and we'll be careful. Mira bounded over, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. I've packed everything we need. Disguises, translators, cultural guides, I've even got a stash of Earth snacks I've been dying to try. Kara joined them, her demeanor as composed as ever. I've prepared a thorough analysis of Earth customs and norms. We'll need to blend in seamlessly to avoid suspicion. Lyra nodded approvingly. Good. We'll assume human forms and immerse ourselves in their society. Remember, this is about exploration and understanding, not just winning a bet. Let's make the most of it. With that, the women entered the ship. The interior was sleek and modern, filled with plush seating and cutting-edge technology. As they strapped in, the ship's engines hummed to life, and the view outside shifted from the dazzling cityscape of Zalara to the infinite expanse of space. As the ship ascended, the women exchanged excited glances. They were leaving behind the familiarity of their home for the unknown adventures awaiting them on Earth. Each of them carried different hopes and expectations, but they all shared a common desire to break free from the constraints of their world and experience something new. The journey through space was swift, thanks to the advanced propulsion technology of their ship. As they neared Earth, the women marveled at the sight of the blue planet, a vibrant orb of life amidst the vast darkness of space. It was a world teeming with diversity and unpredictability, a stark contrast to the controlled perfection of Zalara. The ship descended through the atmosphere, cloaked in an invisibility shield that rendered it undetectable to human technology. They landed in a secluded area, far from prying eyes, and activated their transformation devices. In moments, their alien features morphed into the appearance of human women, their new forms a perfect blend of beauty and intrigue. As they stepped out of the ship, the air was filled with the sounds and scents of Earth. The rustling of leaves, the distant hum of city life, the scent of fresh grass. It was a sensory overload that left them momentarily breathless. Lyra took a deep breath, a grin spreading across her face. "Welcome to Earth, ladies. Let the games begin." With their mission clear and their identities secured, the women set off to find their targets. They were ready to explore this strange new world, to uncover its secrets, and to discover what it truly meant to connect with another being. The bet was just the beginning. What awaited them was a journey of self-discovery and emotional awakening, one that would challenge their perceptions and redefine their understanding of love and relationships. As they ventured into the bustling world of humanity, each woman carried the hopes and fears of their species, determined to make the most of this once-in-a-lifetime experience. The game was on, and the stakes were higher than they could have ever imagined. The spaceship landed gently in a dense forest, the trees towering above them like silent sentinels. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie silver light that filtered through the leaves, creating an otherworldly ambience. The women stepped out onto the soft, mossy ground, the sounds of nocturnal creatures and the rustle of foliage enveloping them in the symphony of Earth's wilderness. Lyra led the way, her eyes scanning their surroundings with an intensity that spoke of her determination. She could feel the weight of the challenge ahead, the excitement of the unknown coiling tightly within her chest. Behind her, Sira, Mira, and Kara followed, each lost in their thoughts. They were dressed in simple, elegant clothing that blended seamlessly with human fashion, their advanced disguises making them indistinguishable from the people they were about to encounter. As dawn approached, the group made their way towards the city. The early morning light revealed a sprawling urban landscape, alive with movement and sound. The air was crisp and fresh, carrying with it the faint scent of car exhaust and the distant aroma of street food. The city, a bustling metropolis, was a chaotic blend of modern skyscrapers and historic architecture, the streets teeming with life. It was a stark contrast to the serene perfection of Zalara, and the women felt a mixture of awe and trepidation as they entered this vibrant world. Lyra, always composed and confident, observed the people around them with keen interest. She noted the variety in their appearances, the diversity of their expressions, and the range of emotions flickering across their faces. It was fascinating to her, the raw humanity that seemed to pulse through the city's veins. She had chosen Jake, a successful lawyer, as her target. She had read about him, his confidence, his ambition, and she was eager to meet him in person. Sarah, with her compassionate nature, felt a pang of empathy as she watched the people rush by, their faces often marked by stress and exhaustion. Earth seemed so much more emotional than Zalara. She wondered about the lives these humans led, the struggles they faced. Her target, David, a social worker, had intrigued her from the start. His dedication to helping others resonated with her own values, and she looked forward to understanding him better. Mira, ever the free spirit, was practically vibrating with excitement. The city was a sensory overload, colors, sounds, smells all mingling together in a chaotic harmony. She loved it. Her chosen target, Ryan, an artist, seemed like the perfect embodiment of this vibrant energy. She had seen his work, his bold use of colors and unconventional techniques, and she was eager to see if his personality matched his art. Kara, always analytical, observed the city with a critical eye. She was fascinated by the technology, the infrastructure, the way humans navigated their complex environment. It was all so different from the orderly, efficient systems of Zalara. Her target, Mark, a scientist, intrigued her. She respected his intellectual prowess and looked forward to engaging in meaningful discussions with him. As the day progressed, the women split up, each heading towards their respective targets. They had done their research, knew where to find these men, and had prepared themselves for the challenge. But despite their meticulous planning, they couldn't predict the reality of interacting with humans. Lyra walked into a sleek, modern law office, her confidence unwavering. The receptionist greeted her with a polite smile, not suspecting for a moment that the woman before her was not from this world. Lyra had dressed carefully, her outfit professional yet stylish, exuding an air of authority. She waited in the lobby, her eyes scanning the room. When Jake appeared, she was struck by his presence. Tall, with a commanding air, he had a sharp, handsome face and piercing blue eyes. He approached her, his expression guarded yet curious. "Lyra, is it?" he asked, extending a hand. She took it, feeling the warmth of his skin. "Yes, it's a pleasure to meet you, Jake." He nodded, his gaze lingering on her for a moment. "So what brings you here today?" Lyra smiled, effortlessly slipping into her cover story. "I'm a consultant from overseas, here to explore potential collaborations. I've heard great things about your firm." Jake's eyes narrowed slightly, a hint of suspicion in his gaze. "Interesting. We don't often get visitors from overseas without prior notice." Lyra shrugged elegantly, her smile never wavering. "I believe in spontaneity. It leads to the most interesting opportunities." Jake studied her for a moment, then nodded. "Well, I'm always up for a challenge. Let's see what you've got." As they walked towards his office, Lyra felt a thrill of anticipation. Jake was clearly not easily impressed, but she relished the challenge. She was determined to win him over, to unravel the mystery of this confident, guarded man. Sarah and David. Sarah found herself in a small community center, a bustling hub of activity. The building was modest, its walls adorned with colorful murals and posters promoting various social initiatives. As she entered, she was greeted by the warm smiles of volunteers and staff, their welcoming energy immediately putting her at ease. David was easy to spot. He was in the middle of a group of children, laughing as he helped them with an art project. His presence was calming, his movements gentle and deliberate. He had a kind face, with soft brown eyes, and a warm smile that seemed to light up the room. Sarah watched him for a moment, her heart swelling with admiration. He was everything she had hoped he would be: kind, compassionate, and deeply invested in the well-being of others. She approached him, her smile genuine and warm. "Hi, David," she greeted, catching his attention. He looked up, his expression friendly. "Hello, how can I help you?" Sarah felt a flutter of nerves but quickly composed herself. "I'm Sarah. I'm new in town and heard about the great work you're doing here. I wanted to see if there's anything I can do to help." David's smile widened, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "That's wonderful to hear. We can always use more hands. What kind of work are you interested in?" Sarah hesitated, unsure of how to respond. She hadn't anticipated feeling so genuinely interested in helping. "I'm not sure yet. I'd love to learn more about the programs you offer." David nodded, his expression thoughtful. "Well, we have a variety of projects. I'd be happy to give you a tour and explain more." As they walked through the center, Sarah felt a deep connection to the place and the people. She hadn't expected to feel this way, but there was something about David's genuine kindness that resonated with her. She realized that this game might be more complex than she had anticipated. Mira and Ryan. Mira found herself in a small, eclectic art studio. The space was filled with canvases, sculptures, and an array of art supplies scattered about. The smell of paint and turpentine filled the air, mingling with the soft strains of music playing in the background. It was a chaotic, vibrant space, and Mira loved it. Ryan was in the middle of the room, a paintbrush in hand, completely absorbed in his work. He was a striking figure, with tousled dark hair and a lean, athletic build. His clothes were splattered with paint, and his expression was one of deep concentration. Mira watched him for a moment, fascinated by the intensity with which he worked. There was a passion in his movements, a raw energy that captivated her. She approached him, her footsteps light and graceful. "Ryan," she called, her voice cheerful. He looked up, startled, then smiled when he saw her. "Hey there, didn't hear you come in." Mira grinned, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just admiring your work." Ryan chuckled, setting down his brush. "No worries. Always nice to have an audience. What do you think?" Mira glanced at the canvas, a riot of colors and abstract shapes. "It's incredible, so full of life and energy." He smiled, a hint of pride in his expression. "Thanks. It's a work in progress, but I'm glad you like it." Mira nodded, her gaze lingering on him. There was something undeniably attractive about his carefree attitude, his passion for his art. She felt an instant connection, a spark of excitement. This was going to be fun. Kara and Mark. Kara arrived at a sleek, modern laboratory, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and apprehension. The lab was a marvel of technology, filled with cutting-edge equipment and bustling with activity. Scientists and researchers moved about, engrossed in their work, and the air was filled with the hum of machines and the faint scent of chemicals. Mark was in the center of it all, a tall, lanky figure with messy brown hair and an intense, focused expression. He was bent over a microscope, scribbling notes on a tablet. Kara watched him for a moment, admiring his dedication and the obvious passion he had for his work. Taking a deep breath, she approached him, her voice calm and confident. "Doctor. Mark, I presume." He looked up, startled, then smiled when he saw her. "That's me. And you are." "Kara," she replied, extending a hand. "I'm a researcher from a distant place. I've been following your work and wanted to discuss some ideas." Mark's eyes lit up with interest. "Really? What kind of ideas?" Kara felt a surge of excitement. This was what she had been waiting for, a chance to engage with a brilliant mind, to explore new concepts and theories. She launched into a discussion about advanced quantum mechanics, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. As they talked, Mark's initial wariness melted away, replaced by genuine curiosity and respect. He was impressed by Kara's knowledge and insights, and they quickly fell into a deep, engaging conversation. For Kara, it was exhilarating. She felt a connection with Mark, not just on an intellectual level but also on a personal one. She hadn't expected to feel this way, but she couldn't deny the growing admiration she felt for him. As the day drew to a close, the women regrouped, each with their own stories and experiences. They gathered in a cozy apartment they had rented, a space filled with warm lighting and comfortable furnishings. The air was filled with a mixture of excitement, confusion, and a hint of apprehension. Lyra was the first to speak, her voice confident but thoughtful. "Well, that was interesting." Mira laughed, her eyes bright with amusement. "Interesting is an understatement. I didn't expect Earth to be so alive, so chaotic." Sarah nodded, her expression soft. "The people are so complex, so full of emotions. It's overwhelming." Kara was silent for a moment, her gaze distant. "Mark is brilliant. His mind, it's incredible. But it's more than that. There's a kindness to him, a genuine curiosity." Lyra sighed, running a hand through her hair. "Jake is a challenge. He's confident, but also guarded. He doesn't trust easily." Mira grinned, leaning back in her chair. "Ryan is amazing, so passionate, so full of life. I can see why he pours everything into his art." Sarah smiled, her eyes gentle. "David is wonderful. He's so kind, so dedicated to helping others. It's inspiring." The room fell silent, each woman lost in her thoughts. They had come to Earth expecting a game, a challenge to test their charms and explore human culture. But it was becoming clear that this experience would be much more complex than they had anticipated. Lyra cleared her throat, breaking the silence. "We're in deeper than we thought. These men, they're not just targets, they're people with their own lives and emotions. We need to be careful, to respect that." The others nodded in agreement, a silent understanding passing between them. They had set out on this journey for adventure and discovery, but they hadn't expected to be confronted with the depth of human emotions and the complexity of relationships. As they settled in for the night, each woman reflected on the day's events. They had taken the first steps in a journey that would challenge their perceptions and push them to explore new aspects of themselves. The bet was no longer just a game, it was a path to self-discovery, a journey into the unknown realms of the human heart. As they drifted off to sleep, the city outside continued its relentless rhythm, a living testament to the chaos and beauty of life on Earth. The women of Zalera had entered a world of emotions and connections, and as they lay in the quiet of the night, they couldn't help but wonder what the future held. The game had begun, but the true adventure was only just starting. Lyra stood in front of the tall glass building that housed Jake's law firm. The morning sun reflected off the mirrored facade, casting a brilliant light that momentarily blinded her. She adjusted her sunglasses and took a deep breath, steeling herself for the day ahead. The bustling city hummed around her, the cacophony of car horns and distant chatter blending into a symphony of urban life. Lyra had always thrived in high-pressure situations, but there was something different about this one, an undercurrent of unpredictability that both thrilled and unnerved her. As she entered the building, her heels clicked against the polished marble floor. The lobby was sleek and modern, with minimalist decor that spoke of sophistication and power. She approached the receptionist, who greeted her with a professional smile. "Good morning, Ms. Lyra. Mr. Jake is expecting you," she said, her voice smooth and polite. Lyra nodded, maintaining her composed exterior. "Thank you." As she was led to Jake's office, Lyra's mind raced with thoughts of strategy. She knew Jake was not a man easily swayed by charm or beauty alone. He was a seasoned lawyer, accustomed to reading people and deciphering their intentions. To him, she needed to be more than just another pretty face. She had to be intriguing, challenging even. When the door to Jake's office opened, Lyra felt a slight flutter of nerves. The room was spacious and tastefully decorated, with dark wood furniture and a large window that offered a stunning view of the city skyline. Jake stood by his desk, dressed in a sharp suit that accentuated his tall, athletic frame. His blue eyes met hers with a cool, assessing gaze. "Lyra," he greeted, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. "Welcome back. I trust you're finding your stay in the city enjoyable." Lyra smiled, taking a seat opposite him. "It's been fascinating, to say the least. There's so much to see and experience here." Jake nodded, leaning back in his chair. "And what about your business? Have you found any promising leads?" Lyra leaned forward slightly, meeting his gaze head-on. "I have, actually. But I'm more interested in discussing potential collaborations with your firm. I believe we could offer each other valuable insights." Jake raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Oh? And what insights might those be?" Lyra launched into her pitch, outlining her fictional consulting company's services and how they could benefit Jake's firm. She spoke confidently, weaving a narrative that was both compelling and convincing. As she spoke, she noticed Jake's expression shift from guarded to curious. He was listening intently, weighing her words. When she finished, Jake was silent for a moment, his eyes never leaving hers. Finally, he leaned forward, his expression thoughtful. "You're quite persuasive, Lyra. But I have to wonder, what's your real angle here?" Lyra's heart skipped a beat. Jake was sharper than she had anticipated. She met his gaze, a playful smile tugging at her lips. "My angle? Well, I suppose you could say I enjoy a challenge, and from what I've heard, you're one of the best in the business. I wanted to see for myself." Jake chuckled, a genuine smile breaking through his guarded demeanor. "Flattery will get you everywhere, won't it?" Lyra leaned back, a mischievous glint in her eye. "Only if it's sincere." Jake studied her for a moment, then nodded. "Fair enough. Let's see where this goes. I'm curious to see what you're really after." As they continued their conversation, Lyra felt a subtle shift in the dynamic. Jake was no longer just a target, he was a puzzle, a complex individual with layers that intrigued her. She realized she would have to tread carefully, balancing her playful banter with genuine interest. The game was on, and Lyra was determined to win, but she couldn't deny the growing respect she felt for Jake's sharp mind and confident demeanor. The kindness of David. Meanwhile, Sarah found herself spending more and more time at the community center. The place had quickly become a second home to her, filled with warmth and a sense of purpose. She admired David's dedication to his work and his genuine care for the people he served. Every day she discovered new facets of his character, his patience, his kindness, and his unwavering commitment to making a difference. One afternoon, Sarah and David were working together in the community garden, a small oasis amidst the concrete jungle of the city. The garden was a project close to David's heart, providing fresh produce for the community and a peaceful space for people to relax and connect with nature. As they worked side by side, pulling weeds and planting seedlings, Sarah couldn't help but feel a deep sense of contentment. David wiped the sweat from his brow and smiled at her. "You've got a real knack for this, Sarah. The garden's looking better than ever." Sarah blushed, her heart warming at his praise. "I've always loved gardening. There's something so peaceful about it, don't you think?" David nodded, his expression thoughtful. "It's a good reminder that even in the middle of the city, we can still find beauty and life. It's one of the reasons I started this project." Sarah glanced at him, her eyes softening. "You really care about this community, don't you?" David smiled, a hint of sadness in his eyes. "I do. There's so much need here, so many people struggling. If I can do something to help, even in a small way, then it's worth it." Sarah felt a lump form in her throat. She admired David's selflessness, his unwavering dedication to others. It was a quality she rarely encountered, even among her own people. She found herself drawn to him, not just as a target for their game, but as a person, a kind, compassionate soul who truly wanted to make a difference. As they continued to work, Sarah noticed a group of children playing nearby. They were laughing and chasing each other, their joy infectious. One of the children, a little girl with curly hair, ran up to David, her eyes shining with excitement. "Mr. David, look what I found," she exclaimed, holding out a small flower. David crouched down to her level, a warm smile spreading across his face. "That's beautiful, Lily. Where did you find it?" Lily pointed to a patch of wildflowers at the edge of the garden. "Over there. Can we plant more like it?" David chuckled, ruffling her hair. "Of course we can. How about you help me and Miss Sarah plant some?" Lily's eyes lit up, and she nodded eagerly. Sarah watched the interaction, her heart swelling with affection. She could see how much the children adored David, how his kindness and gentle nature had touched their lives. It was moments like these that made her question the ethics of their game. She had come to Earth to win a bet, but now she wondered if the stakes were higher than she had realized. As the day drew to a close, Sarah and David stood together, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink. The garden was quiet, the air filled with the scent of blooming flowers and freshly turned earth. David turned to her, his expression sincere. "Thank you for all your help today, Sarah. You've made a real difference." Sarah smiled, her heart aching with a mix of emotions. "It's been a pleasure, David. I'm just glad I could be a part of it." As they stood there, side by side, Sarah felt a deep connection to him, a bond that transcended their differences and the boundaries of their worlds. She knew she was playing a dangerous game, but she couldn't deny the genuine affection she felt for him. For the first time, she wondered if there might be more to this experience than she had anticipated. The allure of Ryan. In a small bohemian studio apartment, Mira lounged on a brightly colored beanbag, surrounded by the vibrant chaos of Ryan's art. The walls were covered in paintings, sketches, and photos, a testament to his eclectic style and boundless creativity. The room smelled of paint and incense, the air thick with an aura of inspiration and spontaneity. Ryan was across the room, working on a new piece. His brow was furrowed in concentration, his hands moving with practiced ease as he blended colors on the canvas. Mira watched him, fascinated by his process. There was something mesmerizing about the way he worked, the passion and intensity he poured into each stroke. "So what do you think?" Ryan asked, stepping back to admire his work. Mira tilted her head, studying the painting. It was a riot of colors and shapes, a swirling maelstrom of emotion and energy. She could see the story he was trying to tell, the raw, unfiltered expression of his inner world. "It's incredible," she said, her voice soft with awe. "There's so much emotion in it. It's like you're capturing a moment, a feeling." Ryan smiled, pleased by her response. "That's the goal. Art is all about expression, about conveying something real and raw. It's not always pretty, but it's honest." Mira nodded, understanding the sentiment. She had always been drawn to creativity, to the freedom it offered. In Ryan, she saw a kindred spirit, someone who embraced life with open arms, unafraid to explore the depths of his emotions. As they said goodnight and parted ways, Mira couldn't shake the feeling of unease. She knew she was playing a dangerous game, one that could have serious consequences. But despite her reservations, she couldn't deny the growing affection she felt for Mark. He was more than just a target, he was a friend, a confidant. And as much as she tried to maintain her distance, she found herself drawn to him in ways she couldn't fully understand. The struggles of the game. As the days passed, the women found themselves increasingly entangled in the complexities of their situations. What had started as a simple game, a challenge to test their charms and seduction skills, had evolved into something far more intricate. They were no longer just playing a game, they were navigating the delicate web of human emotions, exploring the depths of their own feelings, and questioning the ethics of their actions. Lyra, ever the confident leader, found herself caught in a battle of wills with Jake. He was a formidable opponent, sharp and perceptive, never easily swayed. Lyra admired his strength, but she also felt a growing frustration. She wanted to win, to prove herself, but she couldn't ignore the genuine respect she felt for him. It was a delicate balance, one that left her feeling vulnerable and uncertain. Sarah, with her compassionate heart, struggled with the moral implications of their bet. She had come to care deeply for David, admiring his kindness and dedication. She felt guilty for deceiving him, for using him as a pawn in their game. But she also knew that her feelings were genuine, that she was not merely playing a role. It was a conflict that weighed heavily on her, leaving her torn between her desires and her conscience. Mira, the free-spirited artist, reveled in her connection with Ryan. She loved the spontaneity of their relationship, the way they could lose themselves in their shared passion for art. But she also felt a growing anxiety, a fear that she was losing control of the situation. She had always been confident in her ability to charm and seduce, but with Ryan, she felt exposed, vulnerable. It was a new and unsettling experience, one that left her questioning her own motives and desires. As they prepared to confront the men, the women felt a mix of fear and relief. They were scared of what the truth might bring, of the potential consequences. But they were also relieved to finally be free of the deception, to face their actions head-on. The journey had been unexpected, filled with challenges and emotional turbulence. But it had also been a journey of growth, of self-discovery. The women of Zalara had come to Earth for a bet, but they had found themselves entangled in the complexities of human emotions and relationships. They had learned about love, trust, and the importance of honesty, and as they prepared to face the truth, they knew that they were no longer the same people who had started this journey. The game was over, but the adventure was far from finished. The women were about to face the consequences of their actions, to confront the reality of their choices. It was a turning point, a moment of truth. And as they stood together, ready to face the future, they knew that they were ready for whatever came next. The women of Zalara knew the time had come. The weight of their deception had grown unbearable, and the bonds they had formed with the men were too genuine to continue the charade. In their hearts, they understood that honesty was the only way forward, even if it meant risking everything. Each woman had arranged to meet her respective partner in a place that held meaning for them, a place where they could speak openly and without interruption. There was a quiet resolve in their steps, a determination to face the consequences of their actions with integrity and courage. Lyra and Jake. Lyra chose the bar where she and Jake had shared their first honest conversation. It was a quiet evening, the soft glow of the city's lights filtering through the windows. She arrived early, her heart pounding in her chest. She had always been the fearless leader, but now she felt vulnerable, unsure of how Jake would react to the truth. Jake arrived soon after, his usual confidence softened by a curious expression. He took a seat across from Lyra, his blue eyes searching her face. "You sounded serious on the phone. What's going on?" Lyra took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. "Jake, there's something I need to tell you. Something I've been hiding." Jake's brow furrowed, but he remained silent, giving her the space to speak. "I'm not who you think I am," Lyra began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I'm not from here. I'm not even human. My friends and I were from a planet called Zalara. We came here for a game, a bet, to see who could seduce a human male the fastest." She watched as Jake's expression shifted from confusion to disbelief, and then to a controlled anger. His jaw clenched, and he leaned back, crossing his arms. "So all of this was just a game to you? A bet?" Lyra shook her head, tears welling up in her eyes. "It started that way, yes, but it became so much more. I came to care for you, to respect you. This isn't a game anymore, Jake. It's real. At least it is for me." Jake's eyes softened, but there was still a hint of wariness. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because you deserve the truth," Lyra said, her voice breaking. "You deserve to know who I really am and why I came here. I don't want to keep lying to you. I care about you too much to do that." There was a long silence, the weight of the revelation hanging between them. Jake looked down, his expression unreadable. When he finally spoke, his voice was calm but laced with hurt. "I appreciate your honesty, Lyra, but this is a lot to take in. I need time to process it." Lyra nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I understand. I'm sorry for everything. I needed you to know the truth." Jake stood, looking down at her with a mix of sadness and resignation. "I need to think about this. Take care, Lyra." With that, he walked out, leaving Lyra alone in the dimly lit bar, her heart aching with the weight of her confession. Sarah and David. Sira met David at the community garden, a place they had both come to love. The garden was quiet, the soft hum of crickets filling the evening air. Sira felt a knot in her stomach as she waited, her mind racing with the words she needed to say. David arrived with a warm smile, but his expression quickly turned serious when he saw the look on Sira's face. "Is everything okay?" he asked, concern lacing his voice. Sira nodded, but her eyes were filled with unshed tears. "David, there's something important I need to tell you, something that might change everything." David took her hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "Whatever it is, we can face it together." Sira took a deep breath, her voice trembling as she began. "I'm not from here, David. I'm not even from this planet. I'm from a place called Zalara, a world far away from Earth. My friends and I, we came here for a bet. To see who could seduce a human the fastest." David's eyes widened in shock, and he pulled his hand away, taking a step back. "What? You can't be serious." Sira's heart broke at the hurt in his eyes, but she forced herself to continue. "It was wrong, I know, but I didn't expect to find someone like you, someone so kind and genuine. I never meant to hurt you. I wanted to tell you the truth." David was silent for a long moment, his expression a mixture of disbelief and sadness. "So this whole time, you were just playing a game?" Sira shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "No, it stopped being a game a long time ago. I care about you, David, more than I can put into words. That's why I couldn't keep lying to you." David looked away, his jaw clenched. "I need some time to think, Sira. This is a lot." Sira nodded, her heart heavy. "I understand. I'm so sorry, David. I never wanted to hurt you." With a nod, David turned and walked away, leaving Sira standing alone in the garden, the weight of her confession hanging heavy in the air. Mira and Ryan. Mira and Ryan met in his studio, a place that had become a second home to her. The room was filled with the scent of paint and the soft glow of candles, creating an intimate atmosphere. Mira felt a lump in her throat as she prepared to tell Ryan the truth. Ryan greeted her with a warm smile, but his expression quickly turned to concern when he saw her troubled face. "What's wrong, Mira?" Mira took a deep breath, trying to steady her voice. "Ryan, there's something I need to tell you, something important." Ryan nodded, taking her hand in his. "Okay, whatever it is, you can tell me." Mira looked into his eyes, her heart breaking at the thought of hurting him. "I'm not who you think I am. I'm not even from this planet. I'm from a place called Zalara. My friends and I came here for a bet to see who could seduce a human the fastest." Ryan's eyes widened, and he pulled his hand away, a look of shock and confusion on his face. "Are you serious? This was all just a bet." Mira felt tears well up in her eyes, but she forced herself to continue. "It started that way, but it changed. I never expected to find someone like you, someone who makes me feel so alive. This stopped being a game a long time ago. I care about you, Ryan, more than you know." Ryan looked away, his expression pained. "I can't believe this. I thought we had something real." Mira reached out, but Ryan stepped back, shaking his head. "I need to process this, Mira. I can't deal with this right now." Mira nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I understand. I'm sorry, Ryan. I never meant to hurt you." With a heavy heart, Ryan turned and walked away, leaving Mira standing alone in the studio, the weight of her confession pressing down on her. Kara and Mark. Kara met Mark in the lab, a place where they had spent countless hours together. The room was filled with the soft glow of computer screens, the hum of machines creating a familiar background noise. Kara felt a sense of dread as she prepared to tell Mark the truth. Mark greeted her with a warm smile, but his expression quickly turned serious when he saw the look on her face. "Kara, what's wrong?" Kara took a deep breath, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "Mark, there's something I need to tell you, something that might change everything." Mark's expression turned to concern, and he stepped closer, taking her hand. "Whatever it is, we can face it together." Kara felt a lump in her throat, but she forced herself to continue. "I'm not from here, Mark. I'm from a planet called Zalara. My friends and I came here for a bet to see who could seduce a human the fastest." Mark's eyes widened in shock, and he pulled his hand away, taking a step back. "What? You can't be serious." Kara nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. I never meant to deceive you. I came to care about you, Mark, more than I ever expected. That's why I had to tell you the truth. Mark was silent for a long moment, his expression a mix of disbelief and sadness. So all this time, it was just a game. Kara shook her head, her voice trembling. No, it stopped being a game a long time ago. I care about you, Mark, more than you know. Mark looked away, his jaw clenched. I need some time to think, Kara. This is a lot. Kara nodded, her heart heavy. I understand. I'm so sorry, Mark. I never wanted to hurt you. With a nod, Mark turned and walked away, leaving Kara standing alone in the lab, the weight of her confession pressing down on her. The farewell. The women of Zalera gathered in their apartment, the air thick with a sense of finality. They had all faced their respective partners, confessed their true identities, and now they were left with the consequences. The room was silent, each woman lost in her thoughts, the weight of their actions heavy on their hearts. Lyra was the first to speak, her voice steady but filled with emotion. It's time for us to go. We've done what we needed to do, and now we need to return to Zalera. The others nodded, a sense of resignation settling over them. They knew it was time to leave, to return to their home planet. They had come to Earth for a game, but they had found something much more profound: love, connection, and a deep understanding of human emotions. As they prepared to leave, they took one last look at the city that had become their temporary home. The lights of the skyline glittered like stars, a beautiful reminder of the experiences they had shared. Each woman carried with her the memories of the people they had met, the emotions they had felt, and the lessons they had learned. With a heavy heart, they made their way to their ship, hidden in a secluded forest. The journey back to Zalera was bittersweet, filled with a mix of relief and sadness. They had come to Earth as strangers, but they were leaving as changed beings, forever altered by their experiences. As the ship ascended into the sky, leaving behind the world they had come to love, the women felt a sense of closure. They had faced their fears, confessed their truths, and now they were ready to return home. The adventure had been unexpected and challenging, but it had also been a journey of growth and self-discovery. The women of Zalera knew they would never forget their time on Earth, the people they had met, and the emotions they had felt. They had learned that love, trust, and honesty were universal values, transcending the boundaries of species and planets. And as they traveled back to their home planet, they carried with them the lessons they had learned, ready to face the future with a newfound sense of understanding and compassion. The game was over, but the memories and the emotions would stay with them forever. The women of Zalera had come to Earth for a bet, but they had found something much more valuable: connection, empathy, and a deep appreciation for the complexity of human emotions. And as they looked out at the vast expanse of space, they knew that their journey was only just beginning.